Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome back to the Planet FPL Weekender. My Friday partner in crime is with me, and I don't think either of us are cancelling each other this week, but we may be again after the weekend. How are you, David?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, life's good temporarily, isn't it?
Good.
Amazing what
Yeah.
the wing can do.
I know you don't want to talk about Sunday, so
Forgotten memory, though. Forgotten
yeah.
memory.
Okay. Cool. Lots to cover off on this one. Obviously, a roundup of all the European football. We're going to have a look at some free hit and some wildcard drafts for game week 31. Free hit being more relevant this week. Wildcard draft is a bin fire to actually put together, but we've had a try for those. And someone did message me yesterday and said, "What should I do with this?" I actually said wildcard because the team looked that bad. Gonna have a little touch on AFCON. We'll look back on the Monday night football as well, but we'll start as I promised with Manchester City and Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace obviously went through last night. We'll talk a little bit more detail on Crystal Palace later on. But from the FPL relevant stuff, all I have to say is you now have permission to sell them. So they will not play in game week 31. That is now a guarantee. And they will not double in game week 32. That is a guarantee following Crystal Palace victory last night. What you choose to do with them is entirely up to you because there's a strong possibility those two teams will still double in 33, perhaps particularly relevant for those who've already used their wild card. But for those who are saying, hang on before you start selling your likes of Haaland and Semenyo and Munoz, if you want to sell them, you now have permission. You got anything else to add on that, David? Because that's straightforward now.
No, I mean I sold Gay for Tiao last night because chat was going to go up point 0.1 for whatever it's worth, and
Eddie Howard said in his press conference this morning, he's out. I didn't
no,
get you, did I?
no, you didn't. That would be pure Hunter if that was the case. But yeah, yeah. As soon as Palace went through last night,
Could have
it
just
was
clarified for those who didn't
yeah,
get that was a joke, right?
yeah.
Some
That
people, James said, no,
yeah,
it's a
no.
wind up.
Malik Chow is okay. Yeah. So yeah, as soon as Palace went through last night, knowing what I know, it was the green light to get rid of City. Still got Haaland at the moment. I've got transfers in hand. I could punt something up front, but yeah, whether there's anything sparkling enough to do it, I mean, maybe we can get onto Richarlison and players like that later on. But yeah, I know you're not against it, are you?
Relegation Richie, as the above
Yeah,
average boys have been describing him. Yeah, it's his sort of circumstance, isn't it? I don't mind if people want to go there very short term, but I don't know. Maybe check yourself before you sell Haaland for Richarlison. Just saying it
yeah.
out loud
It
sounds
feels
absolutely
wrong saying
terrible,
it out
doesn't it?
loud, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I've just got Haaland Semenyo. I think I'm probably going to leave it. I'm quite happy to bin both, by the way. I just think the information that I'm going to learn ahead of game week 32 and having the extra transfers in hand is probably going to be a little bit more worthwhile for me. I think Bowen, Pedro, and Richarlison would all be contenders to replace Haaland. I personally would not go Richarlison because I just don't need to do that in my life at the moment. Anthony Gordon would definitely be top of the shops to replace Semenyo for me personally.
Yeah, I think I'm buying him later. Yeah, for Declan Rice. Yeah.
Okay, Monday Night Football. Did you watch it, David?
Not the 90. No, I've sort of watched the reasonably detailed highlights that Match of the Day had and looked at the underlying data. So fairly across it, I think. Um,
Pretty sum it up pretty straightforward to say that probably 40 minutes into the game, I was thinking, yeah, this Wolves recovery and their improvements probably wants binning again. But yet, by the end of the game, I was thinking, my God, they're not a side that should be in the bottom three. Angel Gomez actually made a real difference for them, I thought. But yeah, by the end, they looked the more likely winner. Wolves, incredible little turnaround that happened from a brilliant goal that technically there was a back pass, wasn't there? Jose Sarr picked it up. But
Definitely.
the football they played from there, and it was a wonderful finish from Adam Armstrong. He just sees the back of Nathan Collins, steps inside, and then wraps it past Kelleher. I think a slightly more taller goalkeeper might have saved it, actually, but it's still a really good goal from Armstrong's perspective. Brentford had played really well in sort of the opening third of the game. Utara obviously assist for Thiago for the
Oh,
second
lovely.
goal,
Yeah.
which was a beautiful first touch, and then put it on a plate. And it was, I think, that was the third big chance in the game that he'd created. A lot of reason why Dango ended up with top bonus. He looked really good on the eye. Really good on the eye. Dango Utara looked, I think, on the game Monday night, looked a better prospect than Shardo. I certainly wouldn't go switching that about for anyone who's gone the other way. because I just think different game easily switch around again. But yeah, Dango was impressive. Thiago ultimately ended outside the bonus because of chances he missed, but did obviously still return. It was 6-pointer. Yeah, from that point at 2-0, you thought Brentford might end up winning 4-5-0 here. Really good. But Wolves' recovery, again, massive credit to them, Dave.
Yeah, that back pass was a definite back pass, and it was kind of right on the stroke of half time, so it shouldn't really have counted in all honesty. But yeah, exactly what you just said from play being allowed to carry on from that. I feel like we should really give Adam Armstrong some credit because we've on more than one
Super
podcast
goal.
we've said he's your classic too good for the Championship, not good enough for the Premier League. But I
Has
mean,
that changed, or?
no, but
Exactly.
he he has done it there in the Premier League, hasn't he? And fair credit to him because he took it really well. Um, yeah, fun game by the end. I mean, just a bit of raw numbers for you. Thiago 1.85 xG, 3 shots, 2 big chances. Dango Utara actually very little xG, but he's got over a goal's worth of XA.
So, yeah.
2 big chances created. Tolu only played 16 minutes plus stoppage time, 0.57 xG.
Should have scored twice, actually. I mean,
Scored
the
the
goal he
goal.
takes really well, but also hit the bar as well.
Yeah, minutes later. Armstrong 0.43. So yeah, I mean, Wolves could have won it with that Tolu chance after he equalises, but I mean, Reece Nelson has a great chance right at the end as well
True.
for Brentford. So I guess you could argue a draw is reasonably fair result there.
Probably across the whole game, yeah. But
Yeah,
I think if it had kept going, if you said, right, they're going to keep going for another half hour, I think Wolves would have won.
yeah. Brentford, when you kind of expect them to be the dominant force, they sometimes, I think there's a few teams like this in the Premier League. They're not quite as comfortable, are they, sort of being the aggressors in a game? I mean, they certainly were, don't get me wrong, for the first sort of 40 odd minutes here in the first half, but they don't always get the 3 points in these easy looking home games, I think. So, yeah, fun game in the end. And Wolves would argue that they were worth a point in the end, at least.
Yeah, obviously Wolves blank this weekend,
Yeah.
which means they have this period of not playing for near on 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's a long time before they play.
Mental. That's not as bad for Palace, City, Arsenal because of obviously other commitments. But yeah, I mean, the scheduling, I think, for that, by the way, really needs looking at. It can't be right, really.
Oh.
4 week break at this stage of the season. I think the FA Cup quarterfinals being a week before the international break. The FA Cup quarterfinals being a week after international break, and the Carabao Cup final being the weekend before the break needs looking at because you can end up with a circumstance like this
just
for
nothing
4 weeks
for
without a game. Listen, they can go and have a proper holiday and reset themselves for the running, but it shouldn't be like that.
No,
When we've got overcrowded of fixtures so often, to then someone can end up for a period of 4 weeks. I think there's obviously so many teams are going to end up with a 3 week break anyway, because of obviously the FA Cup quarterfinals. So I think personally that wants looking at. It might
I don't
not
disagree,
be, but I think it probably wants looking at. Wolves players obviously you can sell if you own, but it should be noted they're obviously, for those who particularly have used the wildcard, their running is really good, strong, arguably best set of fixtures from 32 till 38. For Brentford, I would guess that the investment has already happened, rather than people looking to invest further. Thiago obviously fine, Utara fine. If I was a Sade owner, I certainly wouldn't be binning that this week. Defensively, as kind of said after Rico Henry's injury against Bournemouth, a little bit clearer in terms of what's happening defensively. That said, Lewis Potter played left back, obviously Collins and Vandenberg centre back. That was what kind of before Collins' injury problem was the first choice back at centre backs. I don't think that will change back again now. So for anybody who's got Christopher Aguirre moving forward, maybe a little bit of concern, but I wouldn't be surprised if he plays at left back against Leeds. Just a little bit more direct and physical opponent, perhaps. So, yeah, I don't think you'd be adding them. No, it is worth noting, obviously, they've got a decent 32 fixture at home to Everton as well. But it won't double, we know that, and they won't look great in the blank because it's Manchester United away as well. I say the blank of 34, obviously.
Yep.
Right, hidden amongst Tuesday's Champions League games was this announcement from AFCON. Morocco, congratulations. You are the African Cup of Nations champions 2 months after the tournament finished. Wouldn't be surprised personally if that changes again, by the way. But what was your reaction to that news, David?
Very well, very surprised. I mean, sort of, what's the point doing it now? Probably is the overwhelming thing. I mean, if they were going to do it, they probably needed to do it sooner than this. I don't really, I don't know how the Moroccan players and fans will feel about this. Really, do they feel like AFCON champions? Have you seen the graphic of the Senegalese squad announcement for the for the internationals coming up? Just a picture of the coach with the AFCON trophy in his hands. Yeah, I think on a semi-serious point, AFCON gets ridiculed quite a lot. I think.
Yeah, and this
I
shit ain't
feel,
helpful.
and this really isn't helpful for it. It sort of has the perception as a bit of a nobody knows what they're doing, sort of organisation wise, really. Which I don't. I'm sure it isn't fair, but could you imagine this happening in the Euros or something like this? You probably couldn't realistically. So I think the damage to the reputation of the competition is significant, to be honest. That said, I think we said after it happened, there probably should have been some consequence for Senegal just down in tools at a decision in the game, and Sadio Mane managed to sort of get them back on the pitch. So probably is important to send out a message that teams just can't do that and sort of avoid consequence. But for it to be months later and this to be the outcome for it, I don't think anyone will be overjoyed at this news, to be honest, because Senegal have had their celebrations and Morocco haven't, and that doesn't change with this decision, I don't think.
Yeah, look, there were antics from the Moroccan players we spoke about at the time, the kind of the Edward Mendy's towel getting stolen and stuff like that. I think there was suspicions of bias in terms of decisions, but ultimately you cannot leave a football pitch based on a referee's decision. It's unacceptable. That said, the game continued, and from there, Senegal won the football match.
Yeah,
and that is what people remember.
correct.
Morocco were champions. Actually, they were given it 2 months later. There's probably lessons to be learned here in the sense of it needs to be clearer to everybody that if someone walks off the pitch under that circumstance, i.e. refereeing decision, that we've been in support of, if Finney Jr. wants to leave the pitch and his Real Madrid teammates want to join him, it's very different to what we're saying here.
Of course.
You cannot leave a football pitch on the basis of a referee decision, no matter how bad you think it is.
Yeah.
And something probably needs to be made clearer to everybody within football, not in just, Article 280 or 84. Let's make it clearer to everybody now. If you do that, you're forfeiting a football match. Done. Clear as day. So the victory for Senegal felt not great anyway, but whoever won it wasn't going to feel particularly great under the circumstance because none of us did think it was a penalty. There was a dubious Senegal disallowed goal just before that as well. But then the game does carry on. And for me, once the game carries on and it finishes and Senegal win and you have the trophy parade on the pitch, you give everyone their medals, what's the point in this? If it was going to change, it had to be done as a matter of urgency. The reality is when the news came through, it had been, nearly 2 months later. And I think for everybody, we'd just forgotten about it.
Yeah, definitely. I certainly.
What takes you 2 months to come to this decision?
Yeah. You say as well, could get reversed again for all we know. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, it's written in rules that the decision ultimately they've come to is probably correct. So therefore, why'd you take 2 months over it? Senegal will obviously appeal. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets changed again. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a determination that actually no one won the tournament. That probably would feel better than this. You're going to take away from the celebrations that Senegal people had and stuff like that. It's like we've just seen a case of obviously at home with Chelsea, who have obviously been given a fine and suspended sentence based on 40 odd million fees of payments made to agents. So it's a bit dodgy. It's worth noting. Yes, it was reported by the new owners at Chelsea, etc. Imagine they turned around and gone, yeah, we're going to strip Chelsea's titles over the 2010s. Oh, Tottenham Hotspur champions 2016-17. What am I doing? Having a street party? I didn't win the league. Chelsea won the league. Whether rightly or wrongly, that's what happened on the pitch.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I see Tottenham fans online claiming it now. If it makes your life feel better, claim it. We didn't win the league.
I did chuckle.
Chelsea won the league. Who wants to? You going to do celebrate that 10 years later? It's the same as what's going to happen with Man City. If they do say strip City's titles and stuff like that, I'm sure for United and Liverpool, they can go, oh, we've got another one or two or whatever, and they're kind of head to head with each other and stuff like that. You ain't celebrating it, are you?
No, no.
Imagine City's 2012 Aguero goal. Like, oh, we take the title from you that year. It's Man United's title. Well, 14 years later, you still don't think Man City fans are going to think it's the greatest moment of their lives.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not going to change anything.
No, it's not. No, it's like when, Olympic champions from yesteryear get sort of medals stripped for historical drug offences and stuff like that. I'm sure the silver medalists at the time don't celebrate as they would if had they won the race or anything. I did chuckle at one of our Scottish patrons, David, who said, "Tell you what, that makes our World Cup group a lot harder now. We're now playing the African champions now."
Shout out to the Scots as well. They're absolutely delighted this morning following the release of this away kit for the World Cup. This salmon kit. It does look quite nice, actually.
I haven't seen it. All right. Okay.
Yeah. It's not for me, but it's a nod to something nostalgic Scotland had as well. It's a nice little kit, that, actually. Okay, Champions League. We're not going to talk too much about the Tuesday night games. I was recording Clash of Correspondence with Ricky and Mark. Recommend a nod to give that a listen. And also Everton Chelsea versus with Sean Norton and Gary Mantle that went out on Tuesday as well. So we're just going to kind of round up what happened Tuesday night. So Bodo, the dream ended.
I did watch that, actually. Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Sporting, first half, 15 shots, 5 big chances. Sporting. Wow. It was absolutely unreal to watch. It all came crashing down around Bodo, unfortunately for them.
I kind of knew once it went 2-0 with long enough to go, I thought, they're going to go based on what I'd seen on the statistics at the time and stuff.
Yeah, it was a real insight into how home advantage can work, actually, that whole tie, because I don't know, sometimes you just think, well, they're just playing on a pitch, aren't they? What can actually change game to game? Turns out quite a lot. Sporting, it was really sort of audible on the telly, like how much the crowd were up for it, and despite it being a tea time kickoff, like the intensity Sporting showed, like Bodo obviously don't encounter that very often in their domestic league. It was just an absolute onslaught from start to finish, and by the end it was actually a surprise it took extra time for Sporting to get the job done. To be honest, they absolutely battered Bodo.
Will it give Arsenal any trouble?
I mean, that's a different question.
Okay,
isn't it?
Bo. The answer's no. The answer's no, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay. Sporting did knock Arsenal out last 16 of Europa. I want to say about 5-6 years ago. Maybe even less, but I don't see them giving Arsenal a trouble this time. I understand that you were watching bit of Chelsea, bit of Man City, and you just refused to put Arsenal on the other night.
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said.
What did you say?
Stop dropping me in the shit all the time.
Listen, it was funny watching through the match day chat on Slack, and so many others were like, I'm not putting Arsenal on.
I did say on the match day live chat, I said, because the Chelsea and City ties, weren't they? They were clearly put to bed. I said, God, are we going to have to put Arsenal on here? And I must admit, I didn't. Cards on the table.
Cut the cracking goals from Eze and Rice. So it wasn't really in doubt, was it?
Absolutely great goal, yeah. Would have been more. I have watched the highlights. So Blasvik in goal for Leverkusen made 10 saves. A few of them were very, very good. So yeah, Arsenal extremely comfortable. By the time Leverkusen had a few chances, they did have a really good one at the end, and Raya makes an absolutely great save. But yeah, no issues from Arsenal whatsoever. They were very, very comfortable.
So you started with Chelsea.
Yeah.
And that went apart very quickly.
Yeah. Chelsea actually win the XG in this game. But
I saw they actually had more XG across the whole tie.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be fooled by that. So the tie on the night is put to bed on 5 minutes. So Sarr at the back, there's a sort of ball that gets played over to him, makes a bit of a mess to it. And I was kind of surprised how strong Kvaratskhelia was to sort of outmuscle him, really. Does very well, scores. And Barcola, I don't know if you've seen the finish for that second one. He's probably got too much space, to be honest, but he absolutely buries it. Chelsea had a little go towards the end of the first half, but I must admit, I only realised this morning that this Rossini took off Joao Pedro, Cole Palmer, and Enzo Fernandez on the hour. So that kind of gives you an insight.
Yeah, give it up. They'll all start tomorrow.
Give it up. And then after that, Chelsea did have a few chances, hence winning the XG on the night. In fairness to Safanov, who we've been quite critical of in the PSG goal, he made some good saves, but yeah, it was a bit of a damp squib, to be honest. I did turn over to City, Real Madrid. So briefly on that, the tie's kind of ruined on the night by Bernardo Silva's justified red card. He does handle the ball on the line. Vinicius Junior scores the penalty. And then, Haaland was taken off on 56, 57 minutes, really. So he did score. So goals have been at
just about
a minimum for him. So
wasn't a clean finish, was it?
No, it wasn't. No, he did have a few chances. He looked reasonably lively from what I saw. But it looked like it was Vinicius was the main man, really. So yeah, Real Madrid more than deserved to go through over the 2 legs.
I heard they weren't great considering the circumstances, Real Madrid, but they had the job done, didn't they?
Didn't need to be, I don't think. Yeah. Disappointing for City. Yeah.
What do you think about the final on Sunday?
I haven't really thought about it, to be honest.
0-0 penalties.
If you were to tell me that happened, I wouldn't be totally surprised. It does feel big for Arsenal because Arteta's only won one FA Cup up to now, hasn't he? Since being
they're not going trophyless here, David. So
I don't think they are. No,
I think if they were behind City in the race for the title, then that pressure would feel greater.
Yeah, does feel a 50-50 call on a one-off match at Wembley. I couldn't. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm leaning either way, really.
Would I be intrigued to see? Based on their meeting earlier in the season, that's a long time ago. It's coming up to, in fact, it is 6 months ago. Obviously, City ended up going very negative in the game to try and stop Arsenal. It basically finished with a 5-5-0. I'm intrigued to see if City do try and deploy something that's quite negative again, should they go in front. I think Arsenal will be happy for City to have quite a bit of the ball. I don't think that would be a particular concern to them. But Arsenal dominated the possession in that game. Now, there's a lot to do with game state. City scored quite early in the game and that. I'm just intrigued to see how much control Arsenal may or may not have, subject to obviously the game state of the game. Obviously, if they're winning, they're going to be very happy for City to have a lot of it. I'm more intrigued if it goes the other way. If City score first, what's the impact of the game? Unfortunately, I don't think they will. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes all the way to pens. Wouldn't be. I would be amazed if the game was like 3-2.
I think both teams will go full tilt at it. You assume they would do.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like Trafford and Kepa are the keepers.
Yeah, just thinking.
But otherwise, yes,
they play in the league, not far away. Would any cards be sort of kept close to the chest, maybe? But
I think Arsenal's lead is comfortable enough at the moment. That
still a domestic cup final, so yeah,
probably not. No, they'll both want to win it. That's obviously clear.
Yeah.
Okay, Wednesday night. We'll talk about these games in a little bit more detail. You watched Newcastle in the Camp Nou. Pretty wild. I got on the train and Barca were 3-2 up and walked in the ground and saw the big screen outside and saw it was 7-2. What the fuck's happened there? Because it seemed like Newcastle were doing a riot, apparently.
Yeah, first half, very much so, yeah. It got very ugly for Newcastle in the end. Kind of mixture between... Barca have just got some outrageous attacking players. You have to acknowledge that. But I think over half the goals that Newcastle conceded were avoidable, I think, and they'll be very disappointed, particularly the ones from set pieces where, they probably should do better. There's one at the end where Jacob Ramsey really, you can't do that, certainly against a team of Barca's quality. But yeah, in the first half, they were up for the battle. Elanga gets a couple of goals. Lewis Hall again, very, very lively down the left-hand side. But yeah, they're just stacked, aren't they, Barcelona, in terms of attacking talent. Rafinha, Yamal,
Was
Lewandowski.
Newcastle's goals was just pacing behind?
Um, so the first one, there's a couple of really good balls from Lewis Hall. The first one was, I don't know if it's behind, but yeah, just a good ball in, and Elanga does well to finish it off. Second one, I think it's Gordon nearly gets there, um, and he just slightly misses it, and Elanga pops it in. Um, Barcelona had 5 big chances in each half, so 10 big chances in total. Newcastle were a bit of a spent force in the second half, to be honest. And Eddie Howe
Chow
made
went in, did it?
yeah, Eddie Howe made some changes, understandably, because huge game for them on Sunday. So yeah, it did get ugly at the end, to be honest. And needless to say, Barcelona very worthy winners. Worth saying and worth repeating from the first leg. I mean, Yamal and Fermin Lopez amongst the goal scorers in this second leg. Sorry, neither of them should have played because they should have been booked in the first leg at St James's Park. So would things have been different had they not been able to play? We'll never know. But yeah, purely on the fact that they were able to play, that Barca battered them by the end. To be honest,
Okay. Arne Slot's still Liverpool manager.
he is indeed. Yeah,
Oh, you sound disappointed.
I don't sound disappointed, no.
Good win the other night, was it?
Yeah. I mean, what a difference from when I saw you on Sunday. It was a absolute complete 180 from that. I mean, I'm not someone who boos at the game, but if I was, I would have booed on Sunday. They played like a team who'd had a kick up the arse, to be honest, because they needed one. 4.88 xG for Liverpool on Wednesday, so they actually underperformed their xG unbelievably.
Salah missed pen. Otherwise, we're on the money, basically, right?
So I always think Mo's going to miss from the spot. I just never feel confident with him for whatever reason. But yeah, Salah 2.24 xG. Made some notes here. 7 shots, 5 big chances missed. So I guess system wise, we should probably talk about Liverpool there. It was noticeable how the width was really provided by the fullback. So Mo played quite further inside than what he normally does. He was very close or closer to Ekitike and Florian Wirtz. They enjoyed being able to link up as much as they did. It was basically just left to Frimpong and Kirkes on the flanks to provide the width for Liverpool. Whether that's viable in Premier League games, I'd be doubtful. I mean, Galatasaray were pretty woeful. It's got to be
So is
said.
this like back to kind of like a diamond behind split forwards, basically?
A little bit, yeah. It was almost 2 up front, really.
Okay.
Wirtz behind Ekitike and Salah. Szoboszlai, McAllister and Gravenberch behind them as a 3. And yeah, a back 4, but very, very attacking fullbacks. Second half was just absolute onslaught from Liverpool. They had a goal ruled out at the end, which was soft as anything, to be honest. If it would have been a pivotal moment, you'd be really annoyed at it getting ruled out. Frimpong was offside, but popped another one into the box, and Singo puts it into his own net. So yeah, Galatasaray just couldn't cope with Liverpool on Wednesday. PSG now, so shit's about to get real. But interestingly, I looked at the bookies' odds for it. It's the bookies would have it. It feels to me like we're clear underdogs in that game, but the bookies have it. PSG only slight favourites over the 2 legs. So first leg's in Paris, which might have something to do with that. But yeah, we'll see. I think maybe one thing to mention from an FPL point of view is that Fulham game in 32 is one to bear in mind, I think, because that's a tea time kickoff in between the 2 legs, and we play the second leg against PSG at Anfield on the Tuesday night. So very quick turnaround, and we've just seen that Slot's not afraid to mix things up.
And a bit of breaking news for you, and this is not a wind up. This is a legitimate from Arne Slot. Mohamed Salah is out of the game at Brighton tomorrow, and also he's not going to join up with Egypt either.
Okay,
that is going to be a dump problem for a lot of people who've obviously moved their money about last week from Haaland to Salah.
Yeah, that's unlucky.
The good news is, here's some good news. You can afford any midfielder in the game. By natural instinct, I think a lot of people will go and buy a Cole Palmer.
I
I've
think so.
got the
Yeah.
money, I can.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what people want to do. That's fine. We'll see if he's in our drafts towards the end. But yeah, just to clarify that, Mo Salah is out of the game. Brighton tomorrow won't play for Egypt either. I think it's very very relevant as well to factor in then what you said about game week 32, considering what we just saw in terms of the rotation against Tottenham, that we maybe shouldn't expect anything different to that, or at least can't not expect it when Liverpool play Fulham in game week 32. It will be Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday turnaround with PSG either side. And what's going to happen against PSG? You have to fucking run after that ball quite a lot. And I would suggest that is the weakest aspect of Liverpool at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
No
watched
arguments
some
there.
I watched some analysis for Talking Tactics this week for advanced and intermediate plus tier patrons, analysing the goals that you concede late in games. And so much of it is both individual and collective in terms of running quite a lot. It's a real problem within the team at the moment. You don't want to be chasing around PSG, mate, chasing after Kvaratskhelia and Duis and Barcolas and Dembele's, but ultimately Vitinha is going to make you do it. So I would truthfully, I would be surprised
Same.
if
Yeah,
you got
same.
through the tie.
Yeah.
Still, if you get through, you'll have an easy one afterwards in Real Madrid or Bayern Munich, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm also looking at it. Which of them four teams would I least want to play Arsenal in the final? Probably yourselves, David. But I know if your team got there in the final, the what it means to the club and the prestige and how you tend to show up most important times. Yeah, you'd still put on a good showing, mate. So you're definitely not incapable of knocking them out.
No, no, definitely not. No,
I mean, you
but
very nearly did somehow last year.
yeah, I mean that was a much better Liverpool. And that first leg, if it wasn't for Allison, we'd have been smacked in Paris in that one. So yeah, it feels like we are quite big underdogs for exactly what you've just said with our running. But two games, we'll see if we can turn it on. You never know.
Yeah, obviously Arsenal do have, by the way, the Tuesday, Wednesday turnaround, so they're not as much of a concern for their home fixture against Bournemouth in game week 32. I would suggest the three sides still in Europa are a bit of a concern, particularly Palace, who have Newcastle at home in 32. So that's something to consider for those who maybe want to invest in Newcastle assets. With them out as well, that fixture looks a little bit better at Palace. And Forest and Villa play each other in game week 32 at the City Ground, and they'll both have. I think they've both got away first legs. No, Forest might be at home in the
That.
first leg. Do you know what? I'll check that myself, David. Questioning myself now. No, they are away first as well
Okay.
before game week 32. So, I mean, Forest can't afford to be rotating, particularly in the league. We'll come back onto them a bit. Before we do, Spurs were winners Wednesday night. That's not something I've said for a little while. Good performance, actually. Really good showing. I think probably the key takeaway for people to note, if you haven't seen the game, is that it was still a back four. I mean, if you're looking at the team going, oh, that was a back three, it wasn't. Pedro Porro played right hand side of midfield. Radu Dragusin played right back. Don't get too excited about that. People hear that. And Pedro Porro, he very nearly did score, by the way. But availability on the night offensively was all over the place. Richarlison was suspended. Solanke was unavailable. Conor Gallagher was only fit enough to be a substitute. Lucas Bergvall returned as a substitute. These are all players that might have ended up playing a more advanced role within the game. And Sousa had obviously started off the right. He is a left back, but he started off the right hand side of midfield against yourselves. He's ineligible in that competition as well.
He did all
So
right at Anfield, I thought, Sousa.
he did
Yeah.
do okay, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know if he's ever played there, actually. He did absolutely fine. I mean, he was fatigued pretty quickly, but yeah, he did okay in terms of his support out there for Porro against and Gamoro. I don't think he's going to be in the England squad. And I'm disappointed, but shout out to James Garner. We think he's going to be in the England squad, and so too Dominic Calvert-Lewin. By the way, apparently, I don't think that's been announced yet, but I know David Ornstein was reporting that this morning. So yeah, look, real positive night for Tottenham. It was a deserved victory. It was a really
Yeah.
enjoyable football match. Atletico had a ton of chances. Their game at Barcelona will be very intriguing in the quarterfinals. The first leg is in the Camp Nou. They will go there, and I'm telling you, they will go there with the sole aim of trying to lose by as low a score as possible because they'll fancy it back in
in the
the
Wanda.
Wanda.
Yeah.
Whereas Barcelona will be thinking, how many can we put on the board? The two sides have met in a two-legged tie already this season in the Copa del Rey. Atleti won 4-0 at home before Barca won the second leg 3-0 in the Camp Nou. So home advantage, I think, will be particularly important in that tie. I would expect Barca to get through it. I think Atleti are a good side, but from what I've seen over the two games, I've definitely seen versions of them that were way more stable defensively.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
Barca
definitely.
have so much power
Yeah,
offensively.
yeah,
But no doubt Atleti deserve to go through over the tie. Regrets from our perspective, obviously, of the opening 15 minutes last week. But yeah, it kind of felt like perfect circumstance. We probably don't need this in our lives at the moment. I get to save a lot of hundreds of pounds by not going to Barcelona for a quarter final, which we'd get absolutely annihilated in. I think it's fair to say. And yet the morale really lifted ahead of obviously that really important game on Sunday. We've got a few people coming back. Destiny Doggy came on as a substitute as well. So more positive from a Tottenham perspective.
yeah. I mean, looking at the underlying data, it was more than a deserved win for Tottenham. And just looking at the
What
highlights, it looked a good atmosphere, good
we
goals.
played really well. They
Yeah,
played really good football. They got it right in terms of when to go direct and when to play short. I think what caution I'd give to Tottenham fans, and I said this quite a bit on Tottenham on Patreon yesterday, was Liverpool's pressing, and as we've already discussed, it's not right. And Atleti didn't go strong man to man in the way many Premier League sides will. Forest will lock on. I'm pretty confident of that. Atleti were quite happy with their lead, very understandably, to play the game under the circumstance. And no doubt, game state of them having a 3 goal advantage played a lot into us looking quite good.
yeah.
I think if you'd have said something before kickoff, you're going to lose 2-0 tonight, they felt like they were happy with that. As long as they got through, they didn't really care. That said, I also think some of the chances they had was also a consequence of us overcommitting but going for it. We played bravely. It was good effort.
I thought that was a foul on Xavi Simons before the Alvarez goal. It's
Yeah,
not one you can,
it probably is,
I don't,
but VAR's never going to get
no,
involved
no,
in that.
no. I don't think it should. But I thought the ref on field. I'm surprised he didn't give that as a foul. To be honest, but like he had his best game, Xavi Simons, from what sort?
Truthfully, caution on him would be this wouldn't be the first time I've seen this in a European game, and then he not look good in the
Right.
Premier League the following weekend. I wouldn't be convinced that he starts on Sunday. I think that that'll probably be down to Solanke's fitness. I know they're very different players, but it may well be influenced by whether Solanke's fit or not, whether he starts on Sunday. So
Let's talk about Richarlison then, because he is. There are people talking about him. I know you've mentioned it briefly.
he'll love it. He loves people talking about him, I think.
Yeah,
I don't mind. If people want to go there really short term, I don't mind.
because it's Sunderland away in 32 as well, isn't it? So
Yeah, although Sunderland might have a lot of players back for this weekend, possibly as well. But certainly you could look at Sunderland and say it's not a bad fixture at the moment. They've got very little to play for that game in 32. But they may be in a position where they have to sit and stew on losing to Newcastle for 3 weeks and maybe very determined to put that back, right? So that could end up being a heavy motivation for Sunderland to have to sit on that result for 3 weeks if they lose and then think, right,
right,
we've got to show our crowd something.
yeah,
Every chance. Yeah, if people want to go there, particularly if you're on free hit, I can understand people wanting to take that punt. He'd be the only Tottenham player that would be a consideration. He'll play. There's no doubt about that. If you're looking longer term, would he stay fit for long enough? But yeah, clearly it would be Richarlison over Solanke for a fantasy perspective at the moment. Richie's goals per minute is always quite decent. Always.
nothing on Kolo Muani. No,
He did all right the other night. I took the headed goal really well. Played fine.
yeah,
Okay, I don't mind Randy. He's a bit marmite for Tottenham fans, and they've gotten his back on a few occasions and stuff, but he's all right. I think he just seems to have naturally come with this tag of, oh, he doesn't give a shit because he won't be here next year and stuff. Well, I don't, it doesn't strike me as that sort of player, actually. I think he's okay. He's a very different player to the other two forwards, and you can obviously use him in a wider role
yeah.
if necessary as well, which proved very useful. I mean, the little cute touches he takes for the assist on Sunday at Anfield were big.
Yeah, yeah.
He can easily cop one of them up, and it's quite an underrated assist actually. So yeah, I don't mind Randy. I think Romero and Van der Ven will play again. It obviously is stronger with them about in terms of how we play. Might not necessarily be as compact around the box, and Forest will have chances on Sunday because I think we'll be brave again about how we go and play. It'll either go well or it'll go badly. Just want to also give a shout out publicly because I've been critical of him, but I spoke highly of him on Tottenham yesterday. Archie Gray was absolutely outstanding. That was his best game for the club.
Yeah,
Really, really good. When he came off, I'll tell you how good he was. When he came off, he's going towards the side of the pitch, and Marcus Llorente, I think, was Atleti's outstanding performer on the night. Makes a point of going basically to the side of the pitch to shake his hand.
that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He's nowhere near him. He actually goes out of his way to say to the kid, "Well played, mate." Nice that.
It's a good
I don't know
save
if he,
from
don't know if hed quite done that if the game was a bit closer, by the
yeah.
way. But it still is a nice touch.
It's a good save from Vicario as well. I thought just give him a bit of credit.
Yeah,
As
you couldn't
from,
put the goals on Vic. First one is obviously accounts well finished by Alvarez. As said, maybe it's a free kick, maybe it isn't. And the second one near post header. Perhaps I also played fine. Was a little bit flat footed. David Hanco, Clayton's boy, scored. I'm sure that Clayton's particularly happy about that. He's actually my UCL fantasy team, David Hanco. So I got returns out of both the Atleti scorers, believe it or not, the other night as well. Okay, let's move on. That's enough Tottenham chat. Europa. So let's start with Forest. I watched Forest yesterday, and I'd messaged you about 45 minutes before kickoff and went, my God, that Forest team looks shy. I couldn't believe quite how much they'd rotated. It was also bastards.
yeah.
What
I
you done
said
that for ahead of Sunday?
I said Pereira's been listening to COTC, what Mark said, and listened to
Yeah,
him.
quite possibly, and also quite possibly not. So, but those who stood in performed very well. And on last, and I watched both legs, and I think across the two legs, I do think just about the right team went through. Actually, they thoroughly deserved to get into the position of being in front in the tie on the night. Nice headed goal from Dominguez. Nice looping header after a knockback from Milenkovic. It was one of the kind of the few main starters who did start for Forest last night. And the goal was coming. They should have scored before that. Ryan Yates scores a brilliant goal. I think he surprised himself to make it 2-0. Credit to the Forest fans who went out there, by the way, because just out of intrigue, I looked at what a journey would be like to get there. It's a slog.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what the Forest fans would have maybe gone to Copenhagen. Then it's they cut the trains and stuff. Like it's a full effort. So fair play to anyone who went out there for that. And then pretty much out of nothing, Midtjylland got themselves a goal, and then from there it becomes quite tight. Forest were able to make changes and improve the side almost the longer the game went on. They managed minutes really well. Dominguez was the only player to play 90 minutes who started in the Premier League at the weekend. He was the only one more than 75. So even though Milenkovic started, he went off for Murillo on the hour. So they both ended up playing like an hour. I'm sure in that that's more than what they'd have wanted to have them used for, but they have managed it well. None of their players should be too fatigued from that. I noticed Callum Hudson-Odoi wasn't in the squad, and I'd quietly be quite pleased about it because I just think it takes away a bit of a transition ball carrier for Forest, even if it was to be as a substitute later in the game. And we can't be quite sure if Forest go back four or back three at the weekend, though last night makes me think a back three is probably a little bit more likely. But that means you still get that strong midfield. Anderson, Sangari's been saved again last night. Gibbs White. Yeah, they'll all be fine to go Sunday. So I think you can look at it on paper, oh, shit, they went their extra time. I don't think it'd be too much of a problem. And they have the little bit boost of obviously going through. I was watching the game constantly wanting Forest to win by one, still, just to make their life a little bit awkward. And then wasn't bothered what they did from there, but did. I suppose it's better if they go through, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's just it's like, do you want them to have a little bit of a confidence kick, or do you want to look further down the line and like, they've got these games now against Porto. It's going to potentially make 32 and 33 a little bit trickier for them, perhaps. And they'll be capable of beating Porto, by the way. They've already
It,
beat them in the group stage. Honestly, they're a live threat, Forest. They
Be a
could
great
well, they could well go all the way in it. It sounds mad. They could.
be a great trip for the fans that as well. Porto as well, won't it? Do you say they can play? They might be able to play Villa in the semis, mightn't they?
Yes, that
Yeah,
would be the schedule. Yeah, so if they both win the quarters, yeah, they play each other in the semis. First leg would be at the City Ground, second at Villa Park. And I tell you what, whoever won that semi final, I arguably would be favourites for the final.
yeah,
That other side of the draw, you've got Braga against Betis and Freiburg against Celta Vigo.
yeah. They would be.
So Betis and Celta, in fairness, they are like fifth, sixth in La Liga. I think Freiburg are about eighth in the Bundesliga. But I mean, if that's your final opponents, you got to really fancy your chances. I think, even
Yeah,
if it was
definitely.
Forest, I'd right fancy it.
Yep.
I think so. Yeah, good result for Forest. Managed minutes really well. Yeah, won't be incapable of. Honestly, it's not beyond that they won that competition and went down.
Yeah. Villa. They beat Lille 2-0 last night.
Yeah, I had it on, but wasn't
Yeah.
really watching it because I'd suffered the first leg and I didn't really want to suffer the second leg. So Villa rotate the side a bit. I think just a few notes. Jadon Sancho, unbelievable and outstanding assist for John McGinn's goal. Just perfect after really good long delivery from Emi Martinez after a claim. And John McGinn is an important returnee for Villa.
Yeah.
Obviously, finished it really well as well. Sancho hit the post not long after that as well. I thought Ollie Watkins was a sub and he looked particularly lively when he came on. Just something to note. And you would expect, having not started last night, that his minutes would be good for Sunday against West Ham. Would that tempt people, if they were free hitting this week, to look at him?
Putting the free hit draft together, I wasn't particularly
No, same.
consider Watkins, to be honest. No.
Same, actually. And I think because their Europa involvement, largely Villa players are probably avoidable. I think those who were on, Matty Cash came back as a substitute last night. That would be a bonus for those who've been on, hoping to be back for the blank. I'm sure he'll start on Sunday. But they're probably an avoid from a fantasy perspective. Obviously, those are some Morgan Rogers.
Yeah, I've got
Fine,
him.
but
Yeah.
I don't think anyone who's not got Rogers and maybe went Salah is not looking at Morgan Rogers as their solution here. I don't think.
I don't think so, no. No, he's not done it, has he?
No, they'll be favourites for that competition. I don't want to say they should win it from here, but Bologna in the quarters is a decent tie. I caught the extra time of that last night. They won 4-3 after extra time in Stadio Olimpico against Roma. Good fun, that. Fair game to them. A decent side, Bologna. Villa be familiar with them. They played them in the group stage and in the Champions League group stages last year as well. Second leg at Villa Park. I mean, you got to fancy that at this stage. That is a real advantage. For Villa to look at Bologna and then Porto or Forest, knowing they've got those second legs at Villa Park, they're proper atmosphere there. If they make Istanbul, they'll have great great support out there. There'll be Villa fans who are familiar, obviously, going to Istanbul earlier in the tournament this year as well. Villa, for me, are the strongest of the 8 teams left in that, despite their form in the league.
Yep.
It might be problematic for them in the league, but I know Villa fans will be desperate to try and win this competition. Honestly, they've got every chance. Every chance. Wish them and Forest well in Europa, particularly Forest. Yeah, keep winning on Thursdays, but fuck your weekends, guys. You watched Palace, didn't you?
I did, yeah, I enjoyed it. They did not make heavy weather of it. Should never have gone to extra time. But yeah, they absolutely dominated the game. Ismail Assar gets the goal in the first half. Larnaca, very little threat, and then it's a very well taken corner and a bullet header, in fairness. But then all of a sudden they're sort of scrambling around trying to find the winning goal. Sarr, the most likely. They brought on the cavalry. They brought on Pino, Daniel Munoz, brought on Mateta, played him up front with Strand Larsen for the first time. They just couldn't get that winning goal, and then Larnaca had a man sent off. We had 2 sent off in the end, but man sent off towards the end. So a guy, I must confess, I've not got his name with me, but he was on a yellow card and he just makes the most obvious second yellow challenge you've ever seen. It's like, what are you doing, mate? So yeah, Palace had the man advantage. Obviously, far superior team, and you would always expect them to get the job done in extra time, and they did. But yeah, out of nowhere, Rory, our Palace correspondent, messaged me this morning with some stats over the 3 games Palace have had with Larnaca.
Oh, well done, Rory. Earning your coin. Good lad.
Yeah, because I was on Match Day Live talking to some of the Palace guys on it, and yeah, quite funny. Some funny numbers here. So Palace played Larnaca 3 times this season. 57 shots for Palace to Larnaca's 12. There's an XG of 6.92 for Palace, 0.71 for Larnaca.
Wow.
14 big chances for
This is
Palace.
across 3 games, by the way.
Yeah,
It's not just the 2 legs. Yeah.
yeah. 14 big chances for Palace versus Larnaca's 1. 24 corners versus 6. 11 shots on target versus 4. 2 goals apiece. So, yeah, Palace they've been a real thorn in Palace's side over the 3 games, but there's absolutely no doubt that although the results have been quite tight, Palace should have put them to bed every time they played them, really.
And hadn't till you're saying eventually Larnaca obviously had a player sent off.
Yeah, and they had
Game 3.
Yeah, there was some antics towards the end from the Larnaca fans behind the goal and towards extra time, throwing cups and all sorts of things. I don't know whether they were trying to get the game called off or something, but
Throwing cups,
like class sort of
paper cups,
glasses and stuff like that. Although I think there might have been other stuff going on as well, but yeah, to no avail. Yeah, Palace have got Fiorentina now, I think, have they?
I'm so
round?
pleased for them that they've got that tie, honestly, because I think it would have been a shame for Palace if it kind of ended and lost to a side from Cyprus. Like it's not a good look, actually. Although this side has done quite well, and Cypriot football is very much improving. By the way, we're seeing more and more of their sides being competitive in European competition. But for Palace, I think Palace fans would have known there was a chance to win into Europe this year, and it's a one-off. It's not something that's going to happen maybe every season for them, and you want a glamour one.
Yeah.
And Fiorentina, right from the start, would have been the most glamorous name that they could have played. And if it ends for them here, we lost to a very well-known and respected name through European football, a side that has become almost synonymous with this competition because of their involvement in the Conference League. Obviously, they themselves desperate. They've lost 2 Conference League finals, and they're beatable.
Well, they're 16th in Serie A. Fiorentina
have improved recently because they were in the bottom 3, I think, back in January. But yeah, this is a tie that Crystal Palace can win. Fiorentina are still in enough trouble that it's not like they're safe, whereas Crystal Palace are. And I hope they do it. I think a lot of us feel that they were wronged by not being in Europa League this year. And if they win this competition, they'll be in it next year. And that would for me would be a great end story. And I think Palace at the moment, the vibe around the football club's not great because of knowing Oliver Glasner's leaving. And I think some have been of the thought process that, okay, once you're out of this competition, probably just call it a day rather than carry on now that they're safe in the league and not going to go down. But it would be nice, I think, if they won this and he walked away having gone, it's the FA Cup, this Conference League, thank you very much. I mean, that's this legendary stuff if he pulls that off for Crystal Palace. They are very capable of winning that tie. Again, I think that is an important note for game week 32. So I think, for example, if you're sitting there with like a Timber versus a Munoz and not knowing which one to sell, I don't think you could sit here at this moment and be certain that Daniel Munoz plays against Newcastle in game week 32.
No, agreed.
That's the reality. First leg is at Selhurst Park, then it will obviously be Newcastle on the Sunday, and then the Fiorentina second leg. And obviously, as we know, they've got the bonus of the Monday game against West Ham, which, by the way, makes that less likely to move backwards. Certainly wouldn't move back to a Saturday now, Sunday at best against West Ham in game week 33.
So, I'd be quite confident that I'd be quite confident that the more difficult this gets for Palace in the Conference League, the better they'll be, actually, because last night they had pretty much 70% of the ball, and we all know that Palace are at the best when they're kind of reactive, aren't they, rather than a team sort of having the ball all the time and breaking defences down. So I don't actually think it's a bad thing if there are bigger challenges ahead for Palace, that they are better sort of being able to use their pace on the counter attack rather than, because quite often they were lacking a little bit in sort of breaking a packed defence down from what I saw last night. But I mean, more than deserve to go through from what I saw, definitely.
Okay. Should they do so again? It's Shakhtar Donetsk or AZ Alkmaar in the semi-finals. Other side of the draw is Rayo Vallecano against AEK Athens and Mainz against Strasbourg. Seems very open, that competition.
Yeah,
It
it
feels like
does.
any of those 8 teams could potentially go on and maybe win it. Pick a winner from it.
The whole competition.
Yeah, go on.
Palace, why not?
Yeah, go on. Europa League
Villa.
should be.
Yeah.
I think Forest will win it.
Do you?
Nah, Porto. Champions League.
Real Madrid.
Really?
Yeah.
It's just them, is it, in that competition?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it could be you know who, but Bayern.
Although
Have,
Real Madrid buying in the next round, isn't it? Yeah.
yes, not to be missed. I ain't watching Arsenal against Sporting. I can tell you that now. Neither's David. So it's not personal, guy. I'm telling you, when we do this weekend, we ain't covering Arsenal Sporting in a couple. We won't be watching it. I
It's not
already know
personal
who's
for
won.
me, it's personal for you. Yeah.
What's the other game the same night as Arsenal? Whatever it is, I'm watching it. It's obviously not you.
No.
Please tell me it's Madrid against Bayern, even more so.
Let me check.
Mind you, I'm going to have to pull the opposite game to you, aren't I? Because you'll watch Liverpool.
Exactly, yeah.
No, okay, fine.
Real Madrid Bayern, yeah, same night as Arsenal.
I mean, this is not a difficult choice. I'm going to be very honest. Talking of which, by the way, Harry Kane's goal the other night.
Oh, yeah. He's a joke, isn't he?
Hey, when he brings that trophy home in the summer, and I'm not talking a big ears one, I'm talking about the gold one. Come on, England. Ballon d'Or, mate.
Yeah, you almost take it for granted, don't you? Like the level of volume of goals that he's scoring, because he's kind of a little bit out of sight when we're not watching the Champions League, unless you are a Bundesliga fan. But he's he's actually getting better, isn't he? I think
He is, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, he is. He
fantastic.
is.
Yeah.
He's some players at a certain age and they begin to look like they're slowing down and stuff. Harry just looks as good, if not better, than he ever has at the moment. Actually, you think about people saying after the last Euros, I think he's done, and
No, he's nowhere near done. No.
no, he's not. Okay, right. Let's finish with some free hit and some wild card drafts. If you're on a wild card this week, I wish you the very best of luck. We do not advise free hitting unless you were in a position of, I don't know, you're sitting there with like 8 players between Arsenal, Palace, City, Wolves. It's not the answer for many of you. I don't think it's going to be more useful for you in a couple of weeks. But go on, David. What you got? Free hit draft. Let us know.
Okay, so I've got Bernd Leno in goal. I've got a back three of Virgil van Dijk, double Newcastle defence of Malik Chow and Lewis Hall. Midfield four, very few surprises here. Harry Wilson, Bruno Fernandes captain, Cole Palmer, Anthony Gordon. Front three of Igor Thiago, Hugo Ekitike, and your boy Richarlison.
Go on, the lad.
Bench of Robert Sanchez, who will definitely play now because Jorgensen's had minor surgery, we believe.
Yep.
Morgan Rogers. I mean, I've got him not massively feeling it, to be honest, so I would take him out on free hit. Joachim Anderson and Christian Romero. Just feels like with Fulham, I mean, I've got Joachim Anderson as well, but they usually find a way to
Concede.
throw a goal in, don't they? And Burnley usually find a way to score in away
But
games.
you've still got Leno in goal, haven't you? So
yeah, to cover it, yeah. But I quite like the idea of having Chow and Hall on free hits. So yeah, quite a lively looking team from looking at it on paper. But yeah, don't free hit if you don't have to, definitely.
Yeah, mine's very, very similar to yours with just a couple of exceptions. So I've also gone double Newcastle defence, but to your Chow and Hall, I've gone Ramsdale and Chow. That's possibly a little bit more of influence for myself. Obviously, I own Joachim Anderson, and so very happy. Just I know what happens if I took him out. So
Yeah.
same kind of principle idea thinking of yours, Anderson, Van Dijk in as well. I do think, by the way, there's a strong chance you'll drop points tomorrow at Brighton, but I would still go there. Midfield four, same as you. Harry Wilson, Bruno Fernandes, Cole Palmer, Anthony Gordon. Up front, mine's the template front three. So Thiago Ekiteke and Thiago Richarlison, because I just wouldn't want to do that to my life. João Pedro, absolute ton of money in the bank.
Yeah.
Verbruggen first sub for me, I just couldn't bother to change it. And I said I wouldn't actually be that surprised if Brighton got something. Morgan Rogers, for me, yeah, the confidence is not there at the moment. And I think West Ham will win there, by the way, on Sunday at Villa Park. Calvin Bassey, I put in as a potential secondary option from Fulham. And I just couldn't bother to move James Hill. What's the point? I'll overthink what I'm going to do with these 5 million here for a third defender that's clearly not going to be needed this week. I have James Hill in my main team. I would expect a DEFCON off him. So probably going to be quite content to play. So I think what we've ended up there looking at is saying free hit template is possibly double Newcastle defence with Gordon. Front three, if you want to take a punt, you think Richarlison is the kind of the best punt of the forwards. We're in complete agreement across the midfield. Yes, still have Van Dijk. Yes, have a slice of Fulham defensive.
Yep.
This doesn't look amazing though, does it?
It's not.
Nah.
It's not exciting, is it?
I think it's probably going to be quite a low scoring week, which might well be defined by captaincy.
Yeah.
You're going Bruno, are you?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Bold
I
job.
think so. Yeah, it is a bottle job. Yeah.
Or the sensible job.
I think the other one would maybe be Anthony Gordon. I think I'm not totally sold on the Harry Wilson captaincy, but it's on any given day anyone could go off, I suppose, couldn't they? I just think Bruno's a solid choice, isn't he? He's on pens.
Of course he is.
I'm not going to overthink it, I don't think.
Of course he is. No, I'm not going to put anyone off Bruno Fernandes. In fact, my advice to people would be Bruno Fernandes is the sensible captaincy if you've got any doubt this week. Simple as that, basically. I have some doubt, but I'm still probably going to take it on. I think I'm going to go Wilson.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, obviously, look, we'll see what the team news brings. Any kind of glimmer of doubt of anything, that's like, no, pull the plug. We'll just go Bruno. That's safe as. But yeah, I intend to do it. I think I know there's a bit of a theory of all big games for Wales this week. Like, might he hold off a little bit? Yeah, might he also want to get himself back into a bit of rhythm and momentum ahead of those games as well? Yeah, I wouldn't, quite possibly.
I wouldn't overthink that Wales thing, I don't think.
Nah. I think Wilson's the best of the rest, personally. I wouldn't captain Gordon. I personally probably think it's just between those two this week, actually.
Yeah.
So I intend to go Wilson. All right, wild card. Try and explain this away. It's a nightmare. Absolute nightmare.
Yeah, really difficult list because
we've ended up very different here, by the way. I think I know what you've tried to do, and I've gone the other way. Go on.
It's just so difficult because you don't know the lay of the land. So I've kind of tried to have a little sort of awareness of what the potential doubles might be. So that's why there's double Brighton defence in at the moment. So Verbruggen and Van Heck. I've left Haaland and Gabriel in. I mean, I was always going to leave Gabriel in, but City are going to they may double fairly soon, so left him in. Took Ekitike out just because of that Fulham fixture could be sticky. So Jared Bowen's going to play 90 every single week. Got Wolves next week, so yeah, very, very difficult to know what to do, really, wildcarding this week. So, yeah, I'll read it out anyway. The keepers are still Verbruggen and Dubravka, who are my actual keepers. Good chance both of them will double in 33 at the moment. Virgil van Dijk, Joachim Andersen, Malik Chow, Harry Wilson, Bruno Fernandes, Anthony Gordon, kept Morgan Rogers in because Villa do still have good fixtures. Put Morgan Gibbs-White in. It feels like a bit of a talisman for Forest, and I think their fixtures are sneaky quite good. I know they've got Villa at home next week, but I wouldn't be surprised if Forest beat Villa next week. Left Thiago in, brought Jared Bowen in, and yeah, on the bench, Dubravka, Van Hecker, Haaland and Gabriel. I did use FPL.team to sort of spin this forward on the current projections, and it did look okay for the next few weeks. So, but yeah, on the face of it, I would definitely wait until 32 to wildcard if you can.
So, I'd tell you the bit that confused me a little bit with this selection of yours was goalkeepers.
Yeah.
Purely because when I saw it, I thought, he's heading towards a team that he can use in 34 and he'll free hit 33. That's what I thought when I looked at this.
No, it was just to have two doubling goalkeepers in 33. So Verbruggen and Dubravka are both down to double, aren't they, at the moment?
So, I mean, if you got how many transfers would you have in the bank potentially? You got a few or not?
If I was doing it now,
Yeah.
uh, I've well, I did have four. I've got three now because I bought Chow last night.
Okay. So Van Heck, Gabriel, Haaland, what you've got on the bench, along with Dubravka, Verbruggen, be like projected to have doubles.
Yeah,
But from the rest, it's just Chow and Gordon as it stands.
yeah,
So that's what made me think you were setting to go the other way because you've got a nine, core nine that would probably, as it stands,
probably
play in 34, but
take
then
Anderson, Wilson out.
but then neither of your goalkeepers would be available. So I wasn't sure which way you were heading with it, or is it just hedging your bets basically?
Free hit 34 because I've still got the free hit.
Okay.
So um, yeah, didn't spend a massive amount of time on it, if I'm
No,
honest.
no, no, that's fine. To be honest, I'd probably drive myself around a bend if I was.
Yeah,
I've gone different ways. So I done it very much to try and go through 33 and potentially looking at free hit 34 because I felt the combinations of players now and that would maybe double in 33 were better. So this is probably as wildly different as we'll get in terms of wildcard drafts. That said, same keepers for Bruggen and Dubravka. So I've gone Chow and Hall with Virgil van Dijk. Other defenders, Van Heck, like you, I think it'd be really popular one heading into 33, and Gabriel. Now, with that defensive lineup, including the goalkeeper, on current projections, those would all have doubles except Virgil van Dijk. And obviously, if Liverpool beat Manchester City, it could be the lot. Midfield, it's actually the midfield and forwards is the same seven that I had on the free hit draft. So Wilson, Palmer, Fernandez, Gordon, Thiago, João Pedro, Ekiteke. And I would carry Declan Rice as my other ready to go. So on this, in terms of current projections, on the current projections, I'd have a lot of doublers in there. Those that I wouldn't would be Van Dijk, Ekiteke, Bruno Fernandes, Harry Wilson, and Igor Thiago. So it would potentially be on 10 with a potential cut the transfers to maybe fix that up. And obviously, as I said, if it flipped where, say, Liverpool won, potentially it's on 12.
you've used bench boost, of course, haven't you?
Well, I tried to do it thinking that I hadn't
Yeah,
and that I would want to use it in 33. Now, if I ended up using it in 33 with Fernandez, Wilson, Thiago singles, then
not the
there'd be
worst, is it?
worse, exactly, worse things in life than that. So I tried to do it. I felt with what was available this week, it was easier to head towards trying to run through 33 than the other way round, actually. And obviously, like, if results go differently, bin it off. And again, the big reminder here, if anybody is intending to wildcard in 32,
Wait,
please wait.
yeah,
Please wait till these FA Cup quarterfinals are done. Chances are that you may be sitting there in 16, 17 days time and go, I missed a few price rises there. The games went exactly as expected. I know what I want to do. Fine. Not only do you need the games to go expected, you also need the fixtures to go as expected. Who knows? Do something different to what we're projecting and stuff like that. So I strongly advise if anyone wants to wildcard 32, I'm definitely bench boosting 33. You're not if Port Vale and Southampton pull off miracles.
yeah.
Please wait.
I'll be
Please
wild card in
wait.
32, but yeah, I will wait
By
until
the
a
way,
couple
when I
of
say you're not, you might still be, by the way. But
yeah,
just wait.
yeah.
And the only reason I could give for someone to say yes, do it, is if someone showed me their team and like, look, it is going to look like a disaster in game week 32. Now, if it's going to look like a disaster anyway, then you want to fix it up for that week, fine. But for most of you, wait, chasing the price rises tonight and tomorrow,
Not
it's not
worth
going to
it.
be worth it because then the market's going to be, it's going to be dead for 2 weeks, really. It won't be worth doing anything. But if you want to do it, play it your way and all
Maybe
that
all right.
jazz. But you've been warned. Cheers, David. Have a
Cheers,
good
James.
weekend.
You too.
Um, Deadline stream later today for everyone on YouTube, 5:30 p.m. UK time. Patrons differential show will be out for you soon as well. Team News stream for advanced tier patrons at 3:30 p.m. UK time. The Weekender, by the way, next week will be available on Thursday. That will be our last podcast for 12 days. Going to take a little break because do you know what? There's not a lot going on, bar some international football, of which we may cover off a little bit on the Weekender next week. But otherwise, everyone, remember, play it your way, smash a like, hit the sub button. Audio listeners, 5-star review goes a really long way. Have a great weekend, everyone, and play it your way. Cue music, please. Mad Shark.